business. I'm the director for the business network for this great church, and we've been able to put together this program just to help those seeking immigration concerns, questions, just to help alleviate some questions you might have or concerns you might have concerning immigration. We've had our guest speaker is already in our midst today. I'll be introducing him shortly. But before that, we'll start with the opening prayer, and I'll call on Pastor Grant to help us with the opening prayer.
Praise God. Shall we pray? King of glory, we want to thank you for our lives. We want to thank you for your church and for bringing up this initiative to the leadership of this department. Father, we want to thank you. Scripture says it is you that work in us, but to will, to do according to your good purpose. We have come to pray that you will bless this act, you bless these steps, you bless this session, and let us leave here better than we came in. Pray that you enlighten us, all those gray areas we do not really understand. Pray you will use our speaker adequately and totally for our blessings. And at the end, we vow to give all the glory unto you in Jesus' name. Praise God.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's appreciate our pastor. That's our Pastor Grant. It's been very helpful in putting together this program. We appreciate you, sir. May God continue to use you for his glory. So we'll start right. I know a lot of people are still on the way, but we'll start the program. I'm going to do a brief introduction of what we're doing today before introducing our speaker. You're welcome to our seminar on immigration insights. Today we gather to explore the intricate journey faced by immigrants seeking to establish lives in this beautiful country. Canada offers several pathways for individuals to attain permanent resident status, each tailored to unique circumstances. From the popular ones like Express Entry, the Canadian Experience Class, and the Provincial Nominee Programs, to those that are not as sought after, we'll be delving into these key programs today. Throughout our discussion, we will examine the challenges faced by applicants and how to navigate them in attaining the desired goal. Thank you for joining us. Let us explore. Let our exploration begin. So I'm going to introduce our speaker. And before I read what I have here, I've known the speaker for over 10 years. I know he's very passionate about helping people. He loves immigration. And in fact, what brought us together was immigration issues. So he's somebody that loves what he does. Just a brief story about our speaker. His name is Ademola Ademuyiwa. He's a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and currently serves as the recruitment officer international at McMaster University. With a passion for helping others achieve their dreams of studying and living in Canada, Ademola has successfully assisted over 50 students in coming to Canada for their studies, many of whom have gone on to become permanent residents and citizens. In addition to supporting students, Ademola has helped nearly 30 individuals and their families immigrate to Canada as permanent residents. Committed to giving back to the community, Ademola provides free immigration counsel to international students at Moore College and other post-secondary institutions across Ontario and beyond. Their dedication and expertise have made a significant impact on the lives of many aspiring Canadians. So without wasting much of our time, I want to introduce Ademola Ademuyiwa to come and take over the stage from here. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the living Jesus. Thank you for that introduction, Wally. You guys can hear me, right? Okay. Sorry, I was just making sure. Yeah, so I've known Mr. Wally for around 10 years, and truthfully, it was immigration that brought us together. From our time as a student to to now that we can call ourselves working class citizens, right? Praise the Lord. Yes. So today I'll be giving us a brief overview about the various immigration programs that are available. I can't possibly go over everything because there are lots of pathways, but I'll try to touch on those common ones that I know might be helpful for students, parents, and those that are currently working in Canada and looking for how to make this their home. Um, so, yes, so first I'll be talking about the study permit. I came here as a student back in 2012, and I remember then I used the services of an agent. They asked for this, they asked for that, they asked for a whole lot of things. I think the only thing they didn't ask for was my dad's house then. But thankfully, everything worked out, and then we came here. And then when we got here, I don't know how many students we have here, but this is very common among students. You hear a lot of rumors. Hello? Okay, that's better. Yes. So I applied for the study permit back in 2012. Thankfully, it was approved. I came here as a student. I met other international students, and then there was something common among students, which is normal. I believe it still goes on now. We used to hear a lot of rumors. Then a lot of us, we were excited that yes, we're in Canada and we're looking for ways, to be able to make Canada our home. So due to that, you would hear different stories. People will tell you how they got in. People will tell you things they heard. If you hear any small little thing, somebody will just try to scare you that, hey, you can't do that though. If you do that, you're going back to Muritala. Muritala how? This was not what we planned when when we decided to come here. So hanging out with friends, hearing all of those things, you hear different things. Oh, you can do this, you can do that. And at that time when I came, international students were not allowed to work. So every time I was hanging out with friends, you hear different information. What I was doing with those information, I was just collecting everything. You won't find me arguing with anybody. I'll just sit down, listen, take everything. Hey, you can't do this. You can't do that. If there's any international students here, I would say you should probably follow the same step, because the moment you say something contradictory, that is where fight starts. Unfortunately. So I took in everything, went back to my closet. Then I was living in a small basement then. And then I would open my computer. After all, there's internet, there's uninterrupted power supply. Let us do our research. That was how my immigration journey started. Actually, my family is a family of immigration. My dad retired as a deputy controller of immigration in Nigeria. And then when I found myself in that line, I'm like, Daddy, I'm doing something related to it. He just laughed. So yeah, I started doing my research, gathering all the information that I could possibly gather. When it was time to renew my study permit as a student then, I did it by myself. I helped some friends. I learned from some people as well. And then I just kept going at it with my research. And then 2014 came, something happened. So at that time, I did a 2-year program in school. And because it was 2 years, they gave me a 2 years study permit and a 2 years visa. So everything was supposed to expire April. Technically, officially, that's when my program ends. So because I was still naive at that time, everything expired. And then I spoke to somebody, and the person said, that's the first thing we do when there is trouble. How did you let it expire? I'm like, but I finished school now. Yes, it doesn't matter. You're done with school, but your graduation is still there. You're not supposed to let it expire. So what happened was it expired on April 30th. And then you can't apply for anything until when they release your grad list. I believe that is how it is still done today. Good. So I just left everything like that. And ideally, I was supposed to apply 30 days before that expiration, regardless of if I was still in school or not. So now this is the first thing I'm putting out there. Whatever you're doing, student, worker, make sure your permit does not expire. That is why I'm telling you this story. I learned from my own mistakes and other people's mistakes. Everything that I know about immigration, they are practical. They're not just things that I learned. Before I went to immigration school, I already had knowledge about a lot of things. In immigration school, I just went there to pick one or two things, to ask one or two questions that did not make sense to me. Yes. So please, whatever you do, if your permit is about to expire, make sure you renew it before it does. Because the moment it expires, then you've opened yourself to a whole different type of problem. And I will explain. I know a lot of people will say, oh yes, they'll give you 90 days. It's called restoration of status. They are absolutely correct. But do you know the meaning of that restoration of status? Normally, your visa application, whatever you're applying for, it is at the discretion of the visa officer. If the visa officer is happy on that day, he will grant your application. If he's in a bad mood on that day, he would refuse the application, and he will not lose his job for doing that. Your documents can be perfect. You can use the best lawyer. You can use the best immigration consultant in the world. If that visa officer did not have breakfast that day and is very grumpy, because of his breakfast, he can decide to refuse everybody. The worst you can do is appeal or reapply. But at least he has done what he wanted to do. So now you putting yourself in that 90 days restoration of status. You know, normally you're not in restoration, you're just applying, fresh applicant. It is at their discretion. Now, applying and then trying to restore your status, it is also at their discretion, but this time around, it is very fragile. They don't even need to be angry. They can just look at it like, this person got careless. Let them go back to their country. I've seen it before. A lot of us came here in 2012 when I did, but not all of us are here today in Canada. There are some people back in Nigeria. Some people because they wanted to go back. Some because they got careless. Some because they did not understand the system. I tell people that immigration is a transaction. Even though it is a transaction, you still need to be very careful. Little thing can ruin everything. Also, by doing the right thing, with God's blessing, everything can just go seamlessly. So when they said, you're not supposed to do that, I was speaking to a lawyer. So he was like, okay, do this, do that, do that, do that. You have to do a restoration of status. I did that. And thankfully, everything worked out. It was like a waste of money. It felt like it because I had to pay for that renewal. Now, I restored my status as a student. I was already done school. I was just waiting for letter and graduation. So after I renewed, they released graduation letter. Then I applied for my postgraduate work permit. I paid another fees. Imagine, I renewed for just a couple of weeks, just weeks, to be able to remain in status. I paid that money. They didn't say, oh, because you're already done school, we understand that we'll refund your money. No, immigration is a transaction. Please, I want you to remember that immigration is a transaction because I'm still going to get to application itself. Now, when I say application itself, I'm not talking about renewal. I'm talking about when you are putting together a fresh application. That is where you understand what I mean by immigration is a transaction. So I did that. Everything was renewed. I got my study permit, and thankfully, I'm still here today. Some people did not get so lucky. They are back in Nigeria. It doesn't mean they're not doing well, but that was how some people's journey ended in Canada. Maybe they tried coming back. I have no idea. But I'm very, very sure that, because I still know some, that not all of us that came here together in 2012, we're not all here together right now. We still have a good number here, but some people, because of various reasons, they're back home. So for the study permit, whatever you do, even if you have, I ran into somebody a few days back. He said, oh, my program ends in April, just the way, I think most programs, if you start in September, it will likely end in April. He said, my study permit expires in March. This is very close to what happened to me. That what do I do in this situation? I'm like, in this situation, you renew your study permit. You renew your study permit beginning of March or towards the end of February. 30 days. The official time is 30 days to expiration is when you start trying to renew. I was like, but my program will finish in April. Yes, I completely understand that. But your permit that allows you to go to school here in Canada expires in March. You don't want to play with the law. Immigration law is the law. So, and the law says your status must not expire before you apply for the next thing. Now, if you apply in March, the chances that they will respond before you graduate, they probably wouldn't even respond. You would have graduated, but you've done your due diligence, you've done what you're supposed to do by applying before the expiration in March. Now, when April comes and you're done with school and they don't, whenever they respond, they can respond. But as long as you've done what you're supposed to do, then you're good on that end. Now, for students, when you finish, there is a lot of confusion around when should I apply for my work permit? What should I do next? Should I go into a second program or not? And things like that. Okay, so ideally, the moment you're done school, so far you're not going for more schooling, you're supposed to apply for your postgraduate work permit if you're eligible once you get your letter of completion. And a lot of schools send the letter of completion after releasing the graduation list. I know this because I work in the education sector. So some schools will release the graduation list and send the letter the same day, some maybe a day after. And for some, you have to apply for that letter. So what I usually tell international students is, please contact your school, ask them, do they send it or do you have to apply for it? Because sometimes when you apply, it takes 2 weeks. Every day counts in immigration. Every day. Not just every day. Every hour counts. I have somebody in Nigeria today. He was supposed to submit his application tonight. It delayed till the following morning. That delay is in Nigeria today. I'm not making this up. Mr. Wali probably knows what I'm talking about. Yes. So it was an unfortunate incident because he just thought, what's the difference? I'll just do it tomorrow morning. And just do it tomorrow morning. That procrastination till tomorrow morning, it just caused a whole lot of headache. So every second in immigration is very important. And another thing you want to do in immigration, you always want to put yourself at an advantage because nothing is given. You have to apply. It's like you're begging for something. Now, you want to beg for something, will you go and beg with your shoulders high? No. When you leave everything to run out of time, that is synonymous to you raising your shoulder. Oh yeah, that's expired, I've come. What's the next thing? No. But when you apply on time, this is you saying, I understand, I know it is a privilege, I'm still going through school. And that is why I've come again to beg for more time. Don't forget that a lot of us were not born here, but we're looking to make this place our home. So we need to comply by the laws of the land. Because there is a reason they kept those laws there. There is a reason the country is working, right? If the country was not working, then what are we doing here? Before I move forward, when I'm speaking about immigration, I'm always very passionate. So please pardon me if I sound blunt sometimes. I feel there's some things that you cannot mince words. You have to say it exactly how it is so that people will understand the gravity of those things when it comes to immigration. I know the house is not full right now. Do we have any new students in the house? Maybe somebody just starting their program in September. Anybody? Welcome. Congratulations. So for new students, yes, for new students, please, again, don't let your study permit expire. I've seen some students, they come in August, and their study permit is going to expire in September, the following month. You have to apply for an extension. You have to pay that money. It is annoying. But the reason such happens is because maybe your passport, the initial passport you used to apply for your study permit, maybe it's going to expire next month. They can't give you a permit beyond the validity of your passport. That is why, if I'm talking to anybody, I try as much as possible to tell them, if your passport has almost expired, I know Nigerian immigration will say 6 months, wait till 6 months to expiration of your passport before you come renew. But if you go talk to them, they're flexible. I want to believe. I don't really face immigration headache, but I want to believe some of them are flexible, I think. So if you can talk to them and they can renew it a bit earlier before you start your application so that you can just get everything once and for all. And then you don't start spending money. Imagine somebody coming in August and already facing the headache of, hey, permit is going to expire in 3 weeks' time. What am I supposed to do? And the interesting thing is that CBSA, those you meet at the airport with those heavy uniform, those are the ones we call CBSA. So there is CBSA, there's IRCC. The one that sits at the office, cross their leg, and decide if you should come or not. That's IRCC. The one that decides at the airport or at the border if you should actually get into the country. Sorry, IRCC will give you the documents to get on a plane to come to the border. Now, the one with uniform, that one is the Almighty. If that one should sneeze and you don't say bless you, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to explain how powerful they are. And everything is at their discretion. Yes. Even in school, they made us understand that everything is at their discretion. The worst you can do is you appeal, but you still pay another money. You've wasted your time. So why not try to get it right the first time? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And then when they refuse you once, the next application becomes more difficult. It's like climbing a hill. When you're coming downhill, it's very easy. Everything just slides down. But when you're going up, applying for visa is already a uphill task. Do you get what I'm saying? But the moment they refuse it the first time, I don't know how much you prayed when you were applying for the study visa, but I'm sure you put in a lot of work into it. Yes. So please don't let that study permit expire. The visa on your passport, the one they stamped, as long as you're not traveling, you don't intend to travel outside Canada, that one can expire. I tell people that visa is the most useless travel document. Let me explain. I say that because the only thing you need a visa for ideally is to get on a plane and get in front of CBSA if you are coming to Canada. Get on a plane and go to a country. It doesn't even allow you to remain in that country. It only brings you before a CBSA officer. Okay, can I see this? Can I see that? How long do you intend to stay? This, oh, you're a student. Okay. Fine. If they are not convinced, they can say go back. If you're a student, they give you the study permit. Even students, they can still tell students to go. There are some students that they did not get in here. They got the visa to come here, but they did not get in here. I remember when I was working at Mohawk College in international admissions. There was a time the CBSA officer called the office phone, and I was the one attending to the phone at that time. They were verifying the information of a student. Oh, this student says they've paid, they've done this, they've done this, they've done that. Is that true? Oh, let me pull up their records. I checked. Oh, yes, they've paid. So, in essence, when you're approaching a CBSE officer, be truthful. If you've not paid, I haven't paid, but this is the plan to pay. I have paid, the money is still in transit. This is my telex copy. I intend to pay, this is how I intend to pay. Because they can verify. They called, sometimes they call, if they can't get hold of anybody on the phone, they'll send an email. Yes. So you can imagine when students are coming, they believe the moment their plane takes off from their country, they've left behind all their troubles and then everything is bliss. Well, that is the dream. But unfortunately, you still have some hurdles to cross before you can actually get into the country. So again, the visa is just to allow you to get on a plane. The tinfoil, the one they stamp on your passport, is to allow you to get on a plane and go to any country. Does it allow you to stay in the country? If it is a visiting visa, you're only allowed to stay for 6 months. Yes, after 6 months, you're expected to leave. So for that one, that can expire. But your study permit, the paper, I think it's brown. The brown paper they give to you, that must not expire. Depending on what you're doing, timing, or what the next step. If you're still in school and it's going to expire before you're done with school, go to your school, get a letter, verification of enrollment. Get that from your school. use that to extend your permit. Look, my program will finish April, but my permit expires January or February. This is why I'm here to. Because if it expires, then you go into that gray area, restoration of status. They'll tell you have 90 days, which is fine. Half the time they renew it. You pay extra money for the restoration of status. They would renew it. But again, it is still at their discretion, and you don't want to be vulnerable, because those that they told to leave, we did not hear their story. Why? Because they've left. It is only those that were successful with it that we are still together talking. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. And we Nigerians, once something fails, nobody likes to talk about what failed. We just will not hear from that person again. And then when they go, you're back. Yes, I'm back. Oh, I got a business opportunity. You understand what I'm trying to say? So please don't let that. And then work. So your study permit mostly comes with a clause that says you're allowed to work off campus. I think it has gone back to 20 hours a week. Please try as much as possible to stick to that 20 hours. I know some people will say, oh, I do these, I do that. What I tell people is this. Whatever is comfortable for you is what you should do. If you don't have the mind to do what other people are doing, or if you feel it is against the law, if you know that it is against the law, then don't break the law. Because they might get away with it. You might be the one that will not get away with it. As a matter of fact, that is why I'm always a good boy. Me, they will catch me. Even if, I don't know, I always know. Even if they did not catch me, maybe it is me that will go and report myself. I did this, so please help me. That is me reporting myself. So I'd rather not go down that line at all. Like I said, make sure you always put yourself at an advantage. Don't leave your chances of remaining here in the hands of anybody except God and the visa officer to decide. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Again, you can work, but don't forget, your primary aim, as far as I'm concerned, as far as we are all concerned, is to study. So please focus on that study. I think, was it last year, they increased the number of hours that international students could work. They increased it to 40 hours. Am I right? Yes. When I saw it, I laughed. I ranted. I was upset. Not that I wasn't happy. In a way, it's good for international, so that at least you can work, save some, and all those type of things, yes. But I was ranting because I was looking way beyond the money they can possibly make now from working extra hours. Imagine a student working 40 hours. I work 40 hours now. When I get home, to even sit down to eat, sometimes it's such a pain. I've started going to bed at 9 o'clock. This is me that I'm a night owl. Last night, because it's Friday, I sent Mr. Wale message at 3 a.m. That is me, normally. But on a work day, no, you will never. 9 o'clock, I'm in bed already. Now imagine a student having to work the same amount of hours. Probably a more manual labor work, not one where you sit down in the office and then you can just automate everything. And then still need to go back and study for school. Something must give now. It is either the school suffers or the work suffers. In this situation, students will face that work because they're trying to make what? Ends meet. I understand tuition is very high, which is unfortunate. Tuition is high, so they want to try to make as much as they can. But they forget one thing, that school that is lagging, that school that is suffering, if they don't graduate, they will just take all that money they made to pay for another school again before they can graduate. Now imagine, you go to work, you abandon school, you make the money. I failed though. Okay, I have to enroll for. Because if you don't graduate, if you don't pass, if you don't graduate, you can't move on to the next thing. So you take that money and do what? Enroll in another program. And then, they still give us 40 hours. So, let me quickly make some because I have to pay second semester. Then you go back again. And then you do more. So you're going back and forth, round and round in circle. You can't move forward. So how is that helping? The only winner here is who? The government. Because you're working, you're generating taxes for them, right? And then all that money that you made, the share that is supposed to be your own after they've removed their own, you now take it and pay who again? The school. The school too will do what? Remit some to who? The government. So who is suffering in this situation? The student, exactly. Because the student is they're wasting their time. They're wasting their life, unfortunately. So me being upset at that time, that was the reason. Because just going around in circles. It made absolutely no sense. I went on Twitter. I ranted on Twitter. And those who saw from my point of view, they liked it. Those who did not, they said what they wanted to say. Twitter is a very toxic place to be when you're talking immigration and other things. But yes, I was able to hold my own because I understood where I was coming from. So please work within the time they gave to you and stay on top of everything. Stay on top of school. Make sure your permit does not expire. Obiora, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so for those who are graduating, who just graduated, anybody in the house? You just graduated, right? Congratulations, congratulations. Congratulations to everybody. So the question I get from those that are just graduating or those who just graduated, when is the best time to apply for my postgraduate work permit? I think I mentioned that before. The moment your school gives you your letter of completion. Some schools will give it to you automatically. Some, you have to apply for it. So please understand what works for your school. I've worked with at least 3 schools in Canada now, and they have different policies around all these things. I think Conestoga College in Kitchener, they just upload everything on your portal seamlessly. I think maybe a few days after you're done with school. With Mohawk College, I think you have to apply for it. I can't remember, or they send it to you. Okay, once the grad list is out, then you apply for it. They don't send it to you automatically. So you have to be conversant with when the grad list will be released. You have to check every day. I think it usually comes out maybe 20 days after you're done with your final exams. I might be wrong with that, but please, essentially what I'm trying to say is check and see what is going on because you want to apply on time. I know somebody, they had a study permit that was supposed to expire February the following year. School was done October, and then they traveled. They were done school October. So ideally, they should be applying for their postgraduate work permit maybe sometime in November, right? So they traveled, they went to Nigeria in December, came back towards end of January and like, okay, now I'm ready to come and apply for my work permit. They refused the application. We used a lawyer, we did everything, fasted and prayed, and nah. They gave them a removal order. This person is a very close friend. It pained me because I thought I knew immigration. But remember when I mentioned that my immigration knowledge is practical. I started by doing things by myself and then from the various experiences before I went to immigration school. At that time, I hadn't gone to immigration school. This was in 2017, 2018. So we were running up and down because this person is very close to me. Here and back home. We're going back and forth. And then got the services of a lawyer. They still came back to say, you have to leave. See, when immigration says you have to go, it's very hard though. I'm sure you've heard some stories that some family, they're trying to kick them out. They're using humanitarian and blah, 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 all of that. Maybe we'll get to that. So it got to a point, the lawyer was like, I think you should leave. I was almost shedding tears because this was somebody that we've been together for how long? And now, after spending 3 years in school, 3 years as an international student, paying international fees, he did not get the work permit. They told him to leave. That brings me to what I'm trying to say. See that postgraduate work permit? It says you are eligible for a postgraduate work permit if you study for X amount of years, right? It does not say you are entitled to. It is not an entitlement. Do you understand where I'm coming from? She better study for this one. Why don't they give me this one? It is again, what? At their discretion, as they please. My brother studied for 1 year college. And when he got his work permit, he got 3 years postgraduate work permit. Ideally, whoever goes to college to do 1 year program, when you're done, you're eligible for what? A 1 year postgraduate work permit. But my brother got 3 years. That was not normal. That is not the norm. But thank God, we pray a lot in my family, and we have praying parents. They don't sleep. So I want to believe it was God that did. As a matter of fact, when he did his application, we even made a mistake. Yes, we selected the wrong thing. He selected the wrong thing, and then I told him, you have to reach out to the member of parliament. So there was some back and forth around it. And then when he came, he still came. It was last year. When he said, it was like, I don't understand though. He says expiration 2026. I'm like, really? That means they give you 3 years. He wasn't even eligible for 3 years. He was only eligible for 1 year. Again, it is at their discretion as they deem fit. Now, is it going to happen for everybody? Probably not. If it happens to you, congratulations, and I'm happy for you. I celebrate with you. Because it gives you that breathing space that we are all looking for, right? What am I trying to say? Your postgraduate work permit is not an entitlement. So you still have to do everything and apply at the appropriate time. Now, for those that are graduating, when can I apply? Or if I'm going into another program, can I take a break? Those are the common questions I get. If you finish in April, yes, you can take a break. You can take the whole summer and start again in September. So some people will say, oh, can't I start in January? You want to wait 8 months. Do you know that that 8 months equals to 1 academic year? Yes, a semester is 4 months. The number of days that you're allowed to be out of school for is 150 days. Summer months, maybe you finish in April, May to August is less than 150 days. But if you don't get into school in September, there is no October or November admission. The next time you can start the program is January. So by that time, you would have exceeded the 150 days. If you have $5 billion, no school will move mountains for you. No, there's nothing they can do. They'll just tell you to wait till January. Now, some people, they have that study permit at that time. They don't even need to renew. But does that mean they can still sit down and wait till that time before they start? You're playing with fire. Because immigration can come at any point in time. You can even continue, start in January, do everything. Even apply for your postgraduate work permit. They can still approve it and wait for you when it is time for permanent residence. They can wait for you at any point in time. Immigration is endless. It is infinite. It doesn't go away. Yes, even for some people that were born in this country. I don't know if you hear about some people that they became citizens, but then later they found out they are not citizens. Has anybody heard that story before? So when we were in immigration school, they gave us an instance. This family, they came here as diplomats. Normally, diplomats, you cannot become citizens. You can go to school, pay the same tuition as citizens, but you cannot apply for citizenship. So they had a baby here. This person was enjoying the benefits of a citizen, applied for passport, started traveling. And then that passport expired at some point. And then they applied to renew. Then the visa officer that knew what they were doing at that time looked at it like, okay, what's the background story about this person? They want to renew their passport. Okay. He traced it back. This person, to begin with, it was a diplomat that gave birth to them in Canada. This person is not even a citizen to begin with. Yes, they refused the application. This is somebody that's probably lived here for almost 20 years then. Almost 20 years. They told them to do what? To leave. Well, I don't know if they told them to leave, right? I think they gave them a temporary resident visa. So somebody that was already confident, that probably does not know any other country. But because they luckily got the passport. You understand what I'm trying to say? So whatever you do, again, always put yourself at an advantage. Don't do anything to make them come back to say, oh, you were not even supposed to get this in the first place. I've seen some applications. This person was applying for PR. They referred to the information they provided when they were applying for study permit. Not even work permit. You know, between PR, for students, between PR and study permit, there's work permit. For those who follow all those steps, right? I'm not talking about those who jumped steps. There's some people who jump from student to PR. We'll probably still get to that. But you see those who followed everything, like myself, yeah. So that's why I tell people, whatever information you're feeling, stay consistent. Stay consistent. For those who use an agent in Nigeria, agents, God bless them. I'm still going to come to agents. For those who use agents in Nigeria, Those people are blessed. That's the only thing I can say. Just make sure you at least, not even the login details. People say, hey, it did not provide my login. What do you need the login to do? See, that profile is just a channel to push your documents through. The actual thing you should be fighting for is the form that they filled. Those IMM something form. You know why? Because it is whatever you put there. You know, there's a signature under there. The moment you sign it, you're telling them that what you've provided is true and nothing but the truth. So you need to stay consistent with those things. Somebody called me around April. Was like, Ademola, how can you help? I said, what happened? Challenge I usually have with people is it is when things go south that they remember Ademola. Ademola, what can we do in this situation? What happened? This is my sister applied for PR. Okay, good thing. They went to Covenant University. Good. Their age is still good, but then the cutoff mark is very high now for PR. Understandable. But they're in Canada now visiting. Okay, still good. And when the agent was applying, the agent applied that they went to UI. The agent puts it there that they went to UI. UI how? Somebody that went to Covenant University. Agents put it on their form that they went to UI. And IRCC did what? Approved it. You know the thing with IRCC? They will approve what they want to approve at that time. But when they catch their mistake, years down the line, like that person that got the passport as the son of a diplomat, that later, that was their error, right? Because they issued the passport, which they were not supposed to issue at the beginning. Good. But when they are ready to correct their mistake, they don't care if that person has given birth and their children too has given birth, if they have children and great-grandchildren already. They don't care about that. When they are ready to come for somebody, they are coming for that person. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So, again, you want to put yourself at an advantage. Make sure that whatever you put on those forms, say, for example, now I'm helping somebody. If I look at their form and then I remind them that if for whatever reason, maybe we lose contact, or make sure you look for me because I have this form with me and you need to stay consistent. Even if we are fighting, I'm still required by law to do what? To surrender it to you whenever you ask for it. So even if you are very, very upset with me, please, I'm begging you now to come back to ask me for that form because whatever information is there, you need to stay consistent. So what happened with that story I was telling you about Covenant and UI was I think maybe the agents did not have that information at that time. And they were not patient enough, or they could not just pick up their phone to call their client that, what school did you attend? And then they just made up whatever. Now that person, I don't know if they're still here or if I just told them, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. Because the only reason, or probably one of the reasons they granted that visitor's visa now is because they haven't seen your PR application. When you are still in the pool, IRCC has no business with you when you're in the pool. The only time they have business with you is if they release their cutoff mark and you beat that cutoff mark. Then everything is locked in. Whatever information you've provided at that time is locked in. I've broken somebody's heart before with this. They claim they work somewhere. Did you work there? No. They said they did. They worked as an IT person for a farm, something. I know they use IT on farm, but it's not so common in Nigeria. If they call, is it verifiable? I don't think it's verifiable. I told them, I'm sorry that in this situation, I'll be the bearer of bad news. Please refuse that application. Yeah, you have the option to turn it down. If they invite you, you see the option to continue or to cancel. They canceled it. That person is in Germany today. Yes. So again, fine. If they still continue with that application, it could eventually work out, but you don't know where or when they will come knocking because they almost don't forget. I'm not saying people don't get away with it, but you don't want to leave anything to chance when you have the power to do the right thing. when you have the power to do or put yourself at an advantage. I keep saying advantage. At an advantage. Again, you don't want to leave anything to chance when it comes to immigration. Do your own due diligence. Do the right thing. Put everything before them and just commit everything into the hands of God. If God says yes, visa officer can only try. At the end of the day, they will grant it. And if God says it is not time, then maybe it is not time. I tell people my story. First time I thought about coming to Canada was 2011. Yes, 2011. But I didn't get here until 2012. They didn't refuse my visa. No, I didn't even apply. But when I heard everything, this, that, the money was much. My father is not a politician. It was immigration at that time. So I told him, I said, Dad, I've gone through school. This one, if you're not ready, it's fine. I'll get a job. I did. I was working. And when he was ready, a year to that time, he said he was ready. And we did it, and it worked. Thank God. So just make sure, if it is not time, you will know by the signs. When they start saying, this is how much you need, do you have that kind of money? Do you have the resources to be able to pull that kind of money? If you don't, then maybe it is not time. And sometimes when we talk about immigration, I know, I want to leave. I want to Japa. That's the line in Nigeria now. Oh, Canada is the place because Canada is taking everybody. But the sad truth is, not everybody can come to Canada. Another sad truth is, not everybody will have a straight pathway to Canada. Some people have to probably go to one country first before they come to Canada. I have friends that they went to the UK when I came to Canada. But Canada was their goal. Today, thank God, they are here in Canada. Okay. I think I've spent a lot of time. Let me move on. So for the permanent resident, we have express entry, which I've been mentioning since a lot of us know it. So the express entry system essentially takes your work experience, your age, your English exam, and your education. It converts everything into point. That point is entered into a pool, what we call the express entry pool. Now, every month, the government will come, release a cutoff mark. There are different categories that you can get invited under. If you beat the cutoff mark that was released, depending on your situation, for students that are studying here, for students who studied here and then they are working, maybe they've worked for 1 year and they have their 1 year Canadian work experience, you could potentially get invited under the Canadian experience class. For somebody who has a master's degree, PhD, or a professional degree outside Canada, if they're on the pool, they could potentially get invited under what we call the federal skilled worker. What differentiates a federal skilled worker from a Canadian experience class is just that 1 year Canadian work experience. For somebody outside, it's not possible for them to have Canadian work experience. If you're a student and your work experience is not up to 1 year, even if it is 11 months and 29 days, the system will still not see you as Canadian experience class. That system is that detailed. But the fact that you entered your information there, once you clock 1 year, the system will adjust and your score will be recalculated. So I tell people it's a living system. It works with age and everything. Now, excuse me, please. Okay. So if say for example, age, the moment you clock 30, you start losing points for age, 5 points for every additional year. So if somebody comes to me, they say they are 37, and I want to do express entry or PR, the first thing I'm seeing, I work with numbers. I see numbers a lot, unfortunately. The moment they tell me their age, 37, it's very high. This person has already lost 35 points. I'm not even thinking of what is their current score. I'm already thinking of what could negatively impact them. So the express entry needs age. That system is very strategic. It is designed to bring people that are still very young, that are still far from retirement. Remember when I said immigration is a transaction? Yes, you're young, you're far from retirement. So when you're young, they give you the permanent resident. You come, you work, you generate taxes for the system, and on and on and on like that. Let me come back. Now, the express entry is very difficult because the scores are very high. How can you improve your chances? You have the provincial nomination program. Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. Out of all those 13, I think 11 of them have provincial nominations. I think the ones that don't are the Northwest Territories and Quebec. Quebec have their own immigration program. You can also check that maybe if you speak French, because that's what they speak in Quebec. Now, For the provinces, provincial nomination is not easy to get. There are two ways that I know that you can get it. They can come look for you in the pool, in the express entry pool. For those that their system aligns with the pool, say, who is there? Because those provincial nomination programs are designed to help those provinces with their labor shortages in those professions, in some professions in their provinces there. So if they need people, say maybe they need IT people, right? They will go into the pool. Okay, who has experience in IT? Mr. Tunde is there. Let's invite Mr. Tunde. Okay, Mr. Tunde, submit your document. If everything is good, they give Mr. Tunde the nomination, a certificate. Now, it essentially says Mr. Tunde, just in this context, Mr. Tunde is a citizen of, say, Manitoba. But you can't be a citizen of Manitoba and not be a citizen of Canada, right? So that certificate, it transmits to points. The overall point you can amass in express entry is 1,200, 1,200. Half of it is provincial nomination, 600. So if you get provincial nomination 600, you take that to the express entry pool, your score shoots really high. The next cutoff mark, you will definitely beat that if it is not a category-specific draw. Because sometimes the government will say, okay, for this draw, the cutoff mark is 500, and we're only inviting Canadian experience class. That means those in Canada who have worked for 1 year, right? Good. If it is for provincial nomination, you definitely beat it. And I think they do that more often these days. So for those that are looking for PR, maybe you're on the pool and your score is not high enough, please try to get the provincial nomination. The other way you can get provincial nomination is to go look for it. So you go look for it, and then some provinces, they accept what we call expression of interest. So you just submit your application to them. They also have their own point-based system. It varies with provinces. I know at least 2 provinces that I know that has to do with you having a relative or friend, Manitoba and Saskatchewan. So maybe you can start from there. Just check. And some people will ask me, do I need to live in those provinces and things like that? Obviously, if they're giving you something, it's because they need you, right? I've seen people who went there, they didn't stay there, they left. I don't know what is going to happen to them. I only speak to those things that I know, or I know somebody who has had an experience with it. The other way that you can get permanent resident, this is mostly for parents or those that their age is on the high side, and the express entry doesn't necessarily work for you. And please, let me just point this out, that the provincial nomination program, it is a big program for each province. Some part of it will align with express entry. For some, you don't need express entry. So for some, you can just go to a province, say, for example, you go to Saskatchewan, or you want to apply to this provincial nomination program. That has nothing to do with express entry. That is another good route for, excuse me, that is another good route for people that maybe the express entry does not work for them due to their age. Are you with me? Good. Now, the other way to get your permanent resident that I quickly want to talk about is the business immigration program startup visa. Now, this is a very interesting one. If you have the funds, because it involves some money, you have the funds and you have the business idea, or you already have the business running in one part of, in one country, and you want to bring that business down to Canada, you can actually use that to get a permanent resident. It is not just you coming here, registering your business, and no. It doesn't work that way. So you have to come. You need to have a qualifying business. Each applicant in that business must hold at least 10% or more of the total voting rights. And applicants and the designated organization together must hold more than 50% of the total voting rights. Now, I mentioned designated organization. So what I mean by that is this. We have some organizations in Canada that are set up to bring in investors. Now, if you have a business or business idea, or you have the funds to start a business, you approach these designated organizations. You tell them, this is my business. I'm looking to start my business in Canada. And then the designated organization, they are business groups that have been approved to invest in or support possible startups. You need to contact the organization to find out how to get their support. Also, you need to convince the organization you have a business worth supporting. Because for some of them, the money you need, if someone wants to invest money in your business, you have to convince them very well. If it is a big amount of money, you have a lot of work to do. And some of them, you need big money. And then you get their letter of support. And after you get their letter of support, you can use that to apply for the PR. Now, before they grant the letter of support, there's something they need to send to IRCC as well. IRCC will vet, make sure everything is good, there's no foul play, before they give the go-ahead for them to give you that letter. Then you now take that letter and go and use it to apply for PR. Again, everything can be perfect. That visa officer can still say no. I've seen it before. Well, for business, no, I haven't seen it. But I've seen somebody paid like 40,000 in tuition, everything. They refused the visa. So if we're thinking, oh, but it's a lot of money and everything, you should give it to me. It doesn't work that way. Because there used to be 11 reasons for inadmissibility, 11 reasons to refuse your application. But recently when I checked, it has grown. I think it's now 13. It keeps going higher. In that 13, there's 4 types of criminality. Yes, I'll get to it, hopefully. So for those designated organizations, we have like 3 categories. We have the business incubators. For them, you must be accepted by one of the numerous programs under this category, business incubators. The other one is the venture capital funds. You must get one of the groups under the category to agree to invest a minimum of $200,000. So for the venture capital funds, they must be willing to invest $200,000 in your business. So there's a lot of work to talk, explain to them, how does this benefit Canada? Don't forget what I said. Immigration is what? A transaction. This is one of the things that I mean by immigration is a transaction. If it doesn't benefit Canada, trust me, they won't do things that would harm Canadians, no. Even down to your study permit, it is still a transaction. Yes, you're paying tuition. Do you have the money to see the program through? Do you have the money for living expenses and all those things? If you don't have it, we are sorry. Finances is one of the reasons for inadmissibility. There is nothing like, hey, let's pity this one that it doesn't have money. Yes. So money is one of those reasons that I told you. 11, now 13. Yeah, money is one of the reasons. So the third category in this group is called the angel. It's called the angel investor groups. For this group, you must convince them, and they must be willing to invest $75,000. I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that's probably still doable." Yes, but then again, what I noticed with this group is that they're not much. The companies in this group, they are not much. And for each of these categories, they can only present 10 applications, sort of, per year. So the moment they reach their cap, if you submit an application, they will just refund your money and say no. So it's just 10 for each one of them. 10. Again, the moment they reach their cap, that's it for the year. You have to apply again next year. So that's just an overview for the business immigration startup program. Can you please help change the slide? Obiara, thank you. Okay, so for citizenship, who can apply? The PR holder, students who come here on a study permit, they've gone through the work process and then they have their work permits, they've gotten their PR, they've lived here as a PR. For students that went through all those steps, you only need 2 years. You need to be here for 2 years before you apply for citizenship. For those who got the PR direct from Nigeria, maybe through the Federal Skilled Worker Program that I mentioned earlier, you need to be here for 3 years out of 5 years before you can apply for citizenship. Now, there are some people that the country they come from, they are not eligible for dual citizenship. Thankfully, majority of us are from Nigeria, and Nigeria allows dual citizenship. So we can apply for citizenship here and get another passport. For those that are from countries that they cannot get dual citizenship, you can remain as a permanent resident for life. I know some people, I think people from China, I think they can't have dual citizenship. You have to renounce one. If you want to become a Canadian, you have to renounce the Chinese citizenship. I think maybe India too, I can't remember. Yeah. So there are some countries that don't allow it, but thankfully Nigeria allows it. So yes, you can get 2 passports. And then Yeah, you must live here for at least 3 or 5 years. For those that did not school here, you must have filed your taxes. You need to write a citizenship test. The test is not hard. It looks hard because they will send you something to read, PDF, fine print, 65 pages. When I saw it then, I was like, what is this? I just went to look for the audio book and I just listened. So it's just about history of Canada. It is not so difficult. And then you have to prove your language skills. For those who studied here and who have applied for PR, you can still use the same IELTS you wrote when you were applying for PR. You can use, even though it has expired, they still accept it. At least as at the last time that I did one, they were still accepting expired IELTS for citizenship, not for PR, for citizenship. And then you have to take the oath of citizenship and so on. There's one more thing I said I was going to talk about. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, so you can become a citizen, through 3 means. Naturalization, that is, you come here through school or you live here for some time as a PR and then you become a citizen. Also by birth, if they give birth to you here, you're a citizen. Even if your parents are visitors, you're a citizen. And then by descent, so say for example, somebody becomes a citizen by naturalization and then they travel out and then they make a baby outside. That baby is still a citizen. And then up until last year, it was so, but then I think Superior Court of Ontario or something like that, they ruled against it that so up until last year, that citizenship by descent was just for first generation. So if you make baby outside, you have to let that baby know that they cannot make another baby outside because the grandbaby will not become a citizen. That grandbaby has to be born in Canada for them to have that citizenship. Are you with me? But last year, the court in Ontario, they ruled against it. And then Canada would not fight it. So for now, it might extend beyond the first generation. We don't know. But if anybody is in that situation or they are planning to do something like that, I would say maybe you should hold off for now because you never know. Because you don't want to make a baby outside who is not your first generation, having done that for your first generation, and then they say you can't bring that baby in. Because you know immigration, some immigration laws, it will take a while before it goes into effect. Some, it goes into effect immediately. So, again, don't risk it. Just make your baby here peacefully and let their citizenship continue. And then, even when you become a citizen, naturalization, whatever, that is still not the end, unfortunately. Yes, it gives you peace of mind. You can do everything, anything. But for those who cut corners, who said, I have this, but truthfully, they don't have it. Or maybe who applied with fake documents. Unfortunately, you have to continue watching your back until forever. Because again, IRCC can just wake up one day that let us do an audit for the last 20 years for the people that we gave citizenship. They have the resources, and they can do it. So please, try as much as possible when you're applying, use the right documents. If you don't know how to go about it, use the services of somebody. When I say somebody, an RCIC, a lawyer, not an agent, no. I've seen different things with agents, and that is why I keep saying not the services of an agent. I give you an example of one. Just make a phone call and ask, what school did you attend? Covenant, good, put it there. No, they just assume and put UI. Now, that person is here on a visiting visa, PR application. They haven't invited them, but it is on their profile. It says, now, if they want to evaluate certificate, where the problem will come, because at some point they will ask for their evaluation. They've already evaluated Covenant. What am I saying? Because where would they get UI certificate to come back to say, I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. So that problem, they will face that when that time comes. So again, try as much as possible to apply with the appropriate document. I know it is expensive. It is daunting, yes, but just give it your and be detailed. Be detailed. It is better these days. Back in the days, I have a family friend. their immigration journey, their PR journey was 10 years. 10 years. When they told me, when they did it, it was those period that it was only paper application. So you have to keep every paper. Because one of those, a paper you submitted 5 years, they will refer to it on the 6th year. So if you don't keep it, how do you keep track of all those things? And they just kept at it. They got their PR in 2013. Express Entry started in 2015. That was when everything started like going seamlessly. But back in the days, it used to be paper application. And it took years. But now, Express Entry, they invite you 6 months, bam, everything is settled. Yeah. So please try as much as possible to use the right document and be detailed. Next slide, please. Visitor visa, I'll just leave this for questions. That was why I left it blank. I have no comment for this one. Please, if you have questions about it, you can still ask. And these are the grounds for inadmissibility. So there's security, there's human or international rights violation, criminality 1, serious criminality. So I kept in brackets DUI, alcohol or drugs, including cannabis. Cannabis is legal in Canada, but that doesn't mean one can use it and drive. So please be careful. Anybody, even students, in fact, students, you are the most delicate ones because it's as good as you don't have anything here. So you don't even want to jeopardize those things you want to work for in the future. So please, whatever you do, don't drink and drive, not even for immigration reasons. Even for your own safety. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive too. All those things, they can kill you. I don't want to die, please. So, yeah. And then there's organized criminality. That's the third one. And then there's sanctions. There's transborder criminality. There's held grounds. If somebody is sick, yes. I'll probably elaborate on that. Next slide, please. And then there's financial reasons. So misrepresentation, I've been mentioning that. Try to be truthful. Don't misrepresent yourself. If an agent should apply for you, like that agent that said UI, but it is covenant, that is misrepresentation. They will not hold the agent responsible. They're going to ban anybody. Who are they going to ban? That applicant, not the agent. So please be careful. And then loss of refugee status, non-compliance with Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, EPA, and then having an inadmissible family member. That one is an unfortunate one. I said I was going to talk about health ground. If somebody has maybe an ailment that will cost Canada a lot of money. That's why they say we should do medical. I'm sure almost everybody here probably did medical at some point. Yeah. So if they see that this person, their medical results is showing this, and this is how much it will cost Canada per year. If it is too much, at the point I used to think the figure was around 5,000, but I'm guessing it would have gone up now. If it will cost a lot, they would refuse the application, and there's nothing that person can do except maybe they get better from that ailment. So yeah, that is the health ground. That is why they ask for medical. Oh, and there is one particular one. A lot of people ask me, what about somebody that has HIV and AIDS? HIV and AIDS will not be flagged by health grounds. No, they will get the visa. Yes. Somebody with HIV and AIDS, that health ground will not affect them. They will get the visa. So, next slide, please. Okay, so using a lawyer versus RCIC. So a lawyer is a lawyer, an RCIC is an RCIC. A lawyer can represent you in court. An RCIC cannot represent you in court. I think that's the major difference. That's the only thing. Every other thing, they're almost the same thing in terms of immigration. In immigration terms, yes. A lawyer can do everything that an RCIC can do, but an RCIC cannot do everything that a lawyer can do. And I want to clarify something. Because you're using a lawyer or RCIC doesn't mean your application is going to get a preferential treatment. No. Trust me. Even if you use Ademola services, they can still refuse it. Nobody can guarantee that your application is going to be successful. So what a lawyer or RCIC would do is they will make sure you're putting together a right document and arranging them appropriately. You're doing everything correctly. You're showing the amount of money you're supposed to show. You're showing the right document. You're filling the forms, the documents properly. That is what they do. They don't guarantee visa. If you On their website, they will let you know that you can do it by yourself, by all means. If you know you don't have the resources to use the services of a lawyer or RCIC, please do it by yourself. But please, when you're doing it by yourself, make sure you read everything and ask questions from people, probably somebody who has done it before. If they cut corners, don't cut corners, no. It's okay if you don't have something, you can ask for alternatives. That is what I do. If I don't have this, oh, can I use this instead? Oh, yes, you can bring it. Oh, no, this doesn't count. Do you understand what I'm saying? I did not put agents in there. You already know why. Agents are agents. Ideally, under RCIC, it is agents that we employ, and the only thing we use them to do is just to gather documents. They can't even advise. It is against the law. But you find these days an agent will say, I can get you work in Canada, I can apply for PR for you, and I can do this, I can do that. Even me, I cannot do everything. For example, I'm an RCIC, I cannot do refugee cases. No, you have to go to school for that now. It requires a special certification for you to be able to handle refugee cases. And I don't have it, so I can't do it. But agents will tell, I can do it, sir. So please be careful when you're using the services of an agent. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's all I have for us this evening. Hope I didn't take too much of your time. The floor is open to questions now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ademola.
You're welcome, sir.
I think the question session would do some specification on the uniqueness of individuals' cases. You've given a lot of general information that can guide some of our activities on immigration. My own specific question is on this provincial nomination role.